Welcome to Channel Night.
Welcome.
Good to be here. It's good to be here.
Say hello. Give us a thumbs up on this private video that only the 7 of you will see. Maybe more. I don't know. There's 7 people here right now.
Mm-hmm.
Do I count as one?
Huh?
Do I count as
I don't know.
Me either.
I don't know.
Well, whatever.
Oh, there we are. Hello, hello.
Oh, now there's 5.
Good.
I'm grateful you guys are all here.
Alrighty. You want to get started? Do some light language?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it. Let's take a few deep breaths. Settle in.
I just watched a Instagram story with the Frozen song Into the Unknown. So it's just playing in my head on repeat right now. Into the unknown. She's actually in the club, so when you catch the recording, you know who I'm talking about. Happy birthday.
Calm my oversoul. Has to be disconnected from the collective. Call on my true soul essence. All right. Keep breathing, settling in. And we'll get right into some light language.
Kuriskastaro, nasitra, tiresikistira, ekervasinta, tukaria porisista, karesetadero, porisishatia. Kisana sitaria, porisikistoro, poisishaira, aesinai. Karevasinta, tukreste, karevasinta, gearses. Fosse. Porisikistaro, vasistara, girafasentano. Caravasintanto creassi stai chiaravasatato, Naboria se stai di caravasantanto chiarasi. Fostara varianta, tissa tiro, passi che stara, di caravasantato corriasi casturo, poi se stare cara. E caravasantanto mai brisi che staro asi, tareate, resi drose che staro voltresi intanto creasa. Poi snebria, gusti vresi ad grem vonta chirasato. Stavarianto, tore barasi stari caravasintanto gaira. Mo sestara va Santano Maria, chiedra i sestigrao. Posni de varianti kirava senta kirastut. Presente kiram. Posi stare gara sitikare sintikare pom presi che stai e carave sentando mai vorresi stairo kirava santa de kirasi stai de vorresi te mo prip si servira. Na caravanta na facilità rosi starai. Tikkara sentantolo ja sitten ja voidresi stare korjava sentado kira. Inäver sintatoja. Kiinäväsen. Steri vesikaraja. Ikävä sentado kira sistodu vesikastero. Kirava santo mai voisi stare kia tavrosi steri kira sentantolo ja tanta. Ikävä sentado mai voisi stokoida. Makarai sistodu pusikasta.
All right. It is a pleasure as always to be here. Hello, Miriam.
Hello.
Hello to each of you. Thank you for taking the time to come settle into the energy with us. There's a lot of energy here. A good amount that wants to land for each of you, so please continue to breathe, settle in. We're going to weave through a few things, and we'll have a good amount of time for questions. Let's take a few deep more breaths. And let's get started. The first thing that we want to speak to is a reminder about time. You could say that if you are working with light and divinity, which each of you are, your greatest asset, one of your greatest helpers in everything you're doing, is time. When you're working with light and divinity, this larger orchestration is bringing you things. It's bringing you openings. It's showing you the way. And the only real thing that you have to do is stay precise. The rest of that process is happening through time. So even though it can be excruciating at times, even though it can be deeply uncomfortable to not entirely know what's coming, time will bring you things that you're feeling. Time will help you. Now, this isn't normal necessarily. This isn't typical here on this planet. Because for those individuals that are not working with this larger orchestration, or for those little detours that you can feel yourself wanting to take at times, those little rationalizations that lead you to things that you know aren't actually here, on those detours, that the large majority of people on your planet are on, time can in some ways be a little bit terrifying. Time is not your friend. Time is not bringing you things that you're looking for. Those timelines are in a way ticking time bombs, because the very process that's bringing you light through time is also bringing you light in those scenarios, and will inevitably work to undo things that are out of alignment. This is why so much of your planet is living in somewhat of a shaky, painful, uncomfortable existence. Because divinity is working to unravel that. And this is true for all of the things that many of you have been learning about corruption, about dark evil forces on this planet. Time is their greatest enemy, too. Because the more time that passes, more light comes to this planet. The more time that passes, the more openings divinity is bringing to you and to everyone. The more time that passes, the more that divinity can work to dismantle everything that isn't in alignment. When you know this, settle back even more deeply into what's here. And there's an even greater recognition of why all of those other things that your brain convinces you to do, all of the rationalizations, all the things that may feel exciting, that may bring you some level of joy, that may bring you some level of wealth, that may bring you things that on paper are good. This is why all of those detours, no matter how good or exciting they may feel, can only lead to a level of pain and hardship. Because you came here for a very specific reason. You are here to bring your soul's essence to this planet. Divinity is assisting you with that. So this is why those detours won't work. And this is also why the things that you are doing where you feel intuitively dialed, where you know that there is truth there all the way through, there is no question. There's fear, there's uncertainty, but there's no question about that truth being true. This is why those truths and the timelines of you continuing to trust those truths will only flourish in time. In this, just this one little aspect of this reality, there's a continual reminder to do exactly what's here for you and nothing else. Not because divinity doesn't want you to have things that are exciting or doesn't think that you can handle things, but because divinity is trying to bring you the ideal and is trying to help you to do the things that you came here to do in the first place. Divinity is trying to assist you constantly to settle back into the ideal. And soul is constantly trying to remind you and soothe your body back into this place that outside of the things that are already here, truly from divinity, where you can feel the light all the way through them, there's absolutely nothing else that could ever bring you fulfillment or that will ever really work out in your favor. Because the ideal is already here, and even more ideal is already coming. When you are in light, time is your best friend. Now, this is where being patient comes into play. It's incredibly annoying, frustrating, confusing to not feel openings or to not have your desires met in certain circumstances. But the reason why you have the hardships that you do, the reason why at times you feel alone, or you feel as though financially everything's going to fall apart, or you feel as though what's here just isn't enough to sustain you, that there's very clearly something else you could be doing here. The reason why you feel that pressure cooker at times of really uncomfortable emotions is to help you to liberate yourself from all of those misconceptions about all of the things you need to do that will absolutely lead nowhere, where time and life will work against you. And in these circumstances, what divinity is trying to do, what divinity is trying to deliver you through your intuition, is a very simple message that says we know how convincing this detour is. We know how exciting this detour is. We know how tangible this detour feels, and we can see all of the places that you think this is going to go, but we must remind you that if it's not here from divinity, if it's not being orchestrated, it's not going to go in a direction where you become more of you. It's going to go into a direction where you slowly lose yourself, where you begin to devalue your intuition within your being, where you begin to tune out what's really here. And it ends every single time with excruciating difficulty. So please remember not to take those detours, says your soul internally. Please remember that what's already here is ideal, even in the discomfort, because that discomfort is the message to not take that detour. It's the desire to take that detour. It's the desire to chase the excitement, or chase the joy, or chase the wealth, or chase the fame, chase the certainty and security, chase the feeling of being loved. But when those emotions take top priority over divinity, things simply cannot work out there. It's not what this life is designed for. And the only reason why all of those detours are so up and why they seem to make so much sense is because it's what your civilization currently holds as truth, as the ideal. But when you remember that you have access to the ideal in every single moment, that what's already here is orchestrated for you, it's what got you here in the first place, that all of this discomfort is your evolutionary edge shaping you into more liberation to become even more of yourself, and that if you didn't feel insecure, alone, hopeless, uncertain, you simply wouldn't grow. Because you not taking those detours is the thing that causes you the discomfort. Now, this is one of the main reasons why we separate out body versus soul, whereas other models and ways to make sense of this just say follow the things that feel good. If you follow the things that feel good, there are countless detours to be had there. And at the beginning of the journey, when you don't know, or if you don't know, that you can do things that bring you joy, that's a game changer. Because suddenly you realize you have a little bit more say in this life than just what's been served to you by your parents, by your neighborhood, by your high school, by your college, by your community. You do have more of a say. But you also have a say in whether or not now, with even more understanding, you choose the very, very simple, singular path ahead that is light, or continue to chase all of those emotions. There's a degree of maturity that comes with recognizing when feeling uncomfortable is the most ideal thing you could possibly feel. You could say this is what it's like to be a grown-up here on this planet. In soul, is to allow yourself to feel immense discomfort and to know that there's absolutely nothing else better. There's nothing else more ideal, because the piece of you that's feeling discomfort is the piece of you that wants to rip apart your life. So this is why we separate out body versus soul. So you can feel within your being all of the emotions, positive and negative, that want to drive you in all of these different directions, interwoven with logical rationalizations for why those things are necessary, why those things are true. and that little whisper of soul that defies it all. That says, nope, wait, right here. We know it's uncomfortable, that's all that's here. Breathe, settle in, find your peace, nurture your body through its uncertainty, and let it all break. Because if you go these directions, it won't be momentary discomfort of a few days or a few weeks. It will be months or years on this detour that ends in weeks or months of discomfort. So please trust the vantage point of divinity, even when it doesn't make sense. Please trust the inner knowing, even when it doesn't make sense, says Soul. We hope you're also able to feel the energy that's landing here. Please continue to breathe, continue to settle in. There's much more here than just the words. Although by articulating them, we can create a little bit of space to understand a little bit more of what's landing. There's a deep precision here and a peace in the discomfort that's wanting to open up. A recognition that when your back's against the wall and there's flames all around you closing in, that none of it's actually real. And that all of that discomfort is the very thing that leads so much of your civilization astray. It's the very thing that you look out into the world and say, how did we end up like this? How are all of these systems like this? How are so many people unconsciously doing these things? It's that very mechanism. From even just a little bit of an outside perspective, from even just someone who doesn't have the exact same mechanisms within them, urging them into something else, it's clear when things aren't aligned, when things aren't true. But internally, it always feels the same, backed up against a wall of flames closing in. But even in those moments, can you realize, can you recognize, can you remember that when your soul says you're taken care of, when there's nothing urgent from your soul pressing you into very specific actions that are coming very organically, that almost feel as though you're doing nothing at all, even though you're doing a lot. If that's not happening, there's nothing actually pressing there. And if there is no move, go, do this, then those things aren't actually here. Because one of the greatest feats of disservice you can do to yourself in those moments when you're backed up against the wall of flames, is to pull out a fire extinguisher and start battling the flames. Because if you win, in quotes, you didn't get to see that those flames didn't burn you. You didn't get to see that the entire mechanism wasn't real. And very tangibly, bring this all the way back into experience, you didn't get to see that that loneliness wasn't real. You didn't get to see that that financial insecurity wasn't real. You didn't get to see that that relationship wasn't healthy, or that whatever aspect of life it may be. So in soul, and in this soul-aligned life, in intuitionOS, as it comes online to a greater degree, coming to a body near you, let's breathe for a moment, settle in deeper. You're okay. You haven't done anything wrong. We're simply creating more space here in this energy, helping to facilitate the creation of more space here from your own oversoul, from your own souls. To be able to find peace even within the discomfort, even within the uncertainty, even within the lack of direction, even within the wall of flames back against the wall. Even more precision, even more clarity, even more trust, even more recognition that the worst thing about all of those fears and uncertainties and distant futures, certain doom appearing real, the worst thing about that feeling is the feeling. And if you can be with that feeling without leaping into action to resolve that feeling, you can settle back into peace and feel the truth that you're okay anyway. There's nothing to do. There's nothing to create, manufacture. Then time will bring you resolution. Time will show you why you didn't feel as though you needed to pull out the fire extinguisher. As those walls of flames pass right through you without burning you whatsoever, and you're no longer up against the wall. You look back, the wall's not even there anymore. What happened? How did I get out of that? Oh, must have not been real. But next time, I'll be ready with my fire extinguisher. This process often has to repeat a few times so that your body can see it's not just a fluke. You didn't just roll the die and things worked out okay. It is a genuine function of life itself. Time is bringing you the ideal, and when there's nothing here to do, there's nothing here to do, no matter how uncomfortable it may be. So breathe, settle in, and notice if there are any of those lingering detours that are captivating. And realize that you don't need to do any of them in order to be okay. And that the discomfort that you are feeling cannot be resolved with any of them. There's nothing you can really do to resolve that discomfort sustainably, even if you push it off a little bit. Even if you rationalize, well, I'm doing something to work against that discomfort. I'm doing something to purge myself of that. It still doesn't entirely go away. There's still the same loneliness. There's still the same financial fear. There's still the same, etc., 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 etc. But if you walk with divinity, if you settle back into peace, if you trust yourself, then when, not if, things come together, when, not if, you see everything unfolding, that tension is actually genuinely resolved. And the next time when you face that exact same thing, you were fortified against it, and you go, oh yeah, this one isn't real. Oh yeah, I can settle back into peace. This is totally fine. It gets easier and easier and easier to face the exact same obstacles when you continue to face them. This is how you learn to navigate this world, by facing the discomfort, and really no other way. This is how soul teaches you what's real, by facing the discomfort, and really no other way. So for those of you here who are feeling incredibly uncomfortable in your life and are wondering if you're doing anything wrong, know that you're not. This discomfort is ideal. This discomfort is your evolutionary edge. This discomfort is the thing that you were pressing into that many individuals aren't. It's your rite of passage into adulthood as a soul here on this planet, whereas most individuals go the entirety of their life in their adolescence, allowing the discomforts of their body to guide their existence. That's the real bag in the wind, not intuitive life. But when you were fortified because you trust your soul, your oversoul, and all of the functions of divinity, all working to deliver you the ideal in every single moment, when you trust this process that cannot be manipulated by your body or by any other body, you are deeply precise. You do not take any of the detours. You cannot be manipulated. There's a solidity, there is a maturity in that. And this is really where, from that foundation, all of the other expression comes online. This is where the wonderful businesses that you feel coming online at some point in the distant future come online and land completely here in physicality. This is where those dream relationships come together, orbit in. Divinity wants to deliver you all of those things, but what's far more important than any of those things before that is this rite of passage into soul adulthood here, is being able to be with the discomfort. Because without that skill, you will forever be penetrable. And when you're on a planet where the norm, just to neutral, what most individuals are doing, includes a disconnection from divinity, aka darkness, your ability to be impenetrable to all of the many biological misconceptions and manipulations here, very, very important. When something feels off, it is off. When something feels untrue, it is untrue. How do you know this? Because you know what it feels like when things are not off. You know what it feels like when things are deeply aligned. You know what it feels like when things are deeply true. Because you've been building a relationship with this intuitive knowing for quite some time now. So if it does not feel like this, then what else is it? What else could it possibly be if not light? Could it be some gray space in between? There's a hard line here. There is light, there is truth, and there is everything else, and everything else is darkness. It's one of the hardest realizations to have here on this planet. But once you see it, you can fortify yourself to an even greater degree. And once you fortify yourself to an even greater degree by being willing to be with all of the discomfort of loneliness and uncertainty and deep, deep fear of your own certain doom that's absolutely impending constantly. Once you're able to settle into that discomfort and find your peace anyway, even while your body freaks out, the only thing that's in between you and everything you're becoming is time. because time is your best friend that brings you all of those things. Divinity is orchestrating at the precise time, and all of those orchestrations are coming to you like they're on a conveyor belt. The only thing you have to do, and really the only thing you can do, is to wait for them to get there. So we know in your everyday life, the vast majority of people doing this very thing aren't thinking about it this way. This isn't the context that people use to navigate their circumstances. Most individuals will feel, oh, there's something slightly off there, so I'm not going to do it. Or they'll think about what's here and explore it and unpack it, and it doesn't always feel like this, but this is the process underneath all of this that's happening. Divinity is bringing things to you in time. And you're being with the discomfort of not doing all of the other things, and it's the only reason why it is uncomfortable in the first place. Because you're not doing the things that you need to do in order to avoid your death or eternal loneliness, eternal ostracization from the tribe. You're not doing the 7 steps to success. So it can be a little bit confusing in the actual experience. And this may not be the way that you continue to think about these things throughout your own experience. You're going to find your own ways to make sense of this. But even here, even now, we want to create space to be able to at least land the energetic of this. To settle into the knowing that when you feel this discomfort, you are growing up. When you feel this discomfort, you are maturing. If you are right in front of that conveyor belt and there's nothing there for a really long time, it's not because you need to go find another conveyor belt. It's because the thing that is already here is more important than anything else that could come on that conveyor belt. And if you see something off in the distance coming on that conveyor belt, it's not because you have to sit and patiently wait for that thing while there's nothing here. It's because the thing that's already here isn't done yet. So there's a precision here, there is a maturity here that can really only come online when you acknowledge that you facing discomfort here on this planet is incredibly, incredibly helpful. And that you are absolutely not doing anything wrong when you are uncomfortable. Regardless of what the New Age spiritual community says, regardless of what the personal development industry says, positivity, chasing excitement, chasing joy, chasing quick money, none of it goes anywhere. They're detours, they come right back to the exact same spot with new baggage, with a terrible experience under your belt. All for the lesson that could have come online within the period of a few days or weeks of just being with that discomfort, recognizing, man, this isn't here. I don't know why, but I'm not going to do it. And I'm going to let my body freak out. Because when you allow yourself to settle into that discomfort, when you allow your body to freak out and you don't do the things, you will reach a realization in a very short period of time, relative to how long that detour takes. In a very short period of time, you will see exactly why. You will recognize exactly why. Oh. becoming me during this time is more important. It's because this thing that I was already doing just needed a little bit more cultivating. This is what soul is trying to walk each of you into, the ideal. And at times it absolutely will be uncomfortable. But know that you're right on track, that it's exactly what's here, and that even if you don't see the purpose of it, following that light and divinity will bring you everything that you are becoming, and it's simply a matter of time. In light, time is your best friend. On all of those detours, time will only work to dismantle and destroy everything that was built for misconception, fear, or even excitement. You are maturing, and in that, you're very quickly becoming the elders of Earth. You're becoming people who others can rely on and look to when uncertainty erupts. Every ounce of discomfort you're able to be with will fortify you, not just to be impenetrable, but to fulfill your entire life's mission and purpose on this planet. So keep going. Know you're doing wonderful. Know that this intuitive life has far more working with you, far more backing you than you may realize in your day-to-day life. And that everything that you were wanting, everything you're wanting to resolve, and everything that you're wanting to come online because you know that your soul is asking you to create it, or is asking for these things to come online, you know you can see who you are becoming. All of that will resolve and come to you in time. Breathe, continue to settle in, be precise. Because even in this space, light is here, and what's here is dialed.
If you enjoyed this channel night, there's more where that came from at thesecondparadigm.com. Join the club. We'd love to have you.